Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tina Book Tuesday, episode 214. And today I have a guest author, Heidi Gray McGill, back with me again. We have been doing a series about why writing is challenging. We left off on our last Tina Book Tuesday with just getting to marketing. And so today we're just going to talk a little bit about why marketing is challenging and what readers can do to help us. How does that sound, Heidi?
That sounds great. Thank you, Lisa, again for having me. It's always a joy to speak with you and to have a connection with your readers.
Thank you for joining me. Um, let's talk about how important it is to build our newsletters and why we're always asking people to sign up for them and what's hard about that.
Yeah, so as an indie author, I have one point of view, and as a traditional, you may have another. So I think we'll both be able to speak to this. For me, the importance of the newsletter is where I genuinely connect with readers. It is where they get to learn who I am as a person. It is where they get to see little insider things that I do not share on Facebook or any place else. So when you've read my book, you get a sense of who I am, but when you sign up for my newsletter, you get to see who I am truly on the inside. And then, even further, if you sign up for my blog post, you get to see that spiritual side, the devotional side of what's going on in my heart.
Right.
The newsletter is really important to a reader for a couple different reasons. I not only share about what's going on in my heart, in my life, but also what books are coming, what sales I have coming. They are always the first to know. Now, we are all aware that all the social media platforms, doesn't matter which one, you do not always get to see everything that an author puts out. And something about Mother's Day, it was a one-day sale. I cannot tell you how many people said, I saw that on Wednesday. It never showed up in my feed until later.
Mhm.
So it is really important if you are a part of an author's newsletter that you will be able to get those things and know early on what the sales are. In addition, I share those curated books that I know the author, I know their work, and I will share what it is that they are releasing recently. And sometimes you'll say, I missed that. Now I get to see Lisa Prysock's newest book. Or it may be a new to you author. Dina Adams is another one. She's a brand new debut author, fabulous writing style. And so to be able to see her work, some people may not know who she is. They haven't made friends with her on social media yet. So my readers then know who she is and if this might be important to her. And then at the bottom of my newsletter, and I know you do the same, is often we're in what is called promos. Those promos are groups where individual authors come together with like-minded themes, books, genres, times of year such as Christmas in July, and we pull together our resources and we share each other's books. Now, I love a promo, partly because I also get to see some new to me authors. There are some
Right.
negatives in that every once in a while a rogue book will get in there. So it is always imperative that you read a book's description before you download to ensure that you are getting that writing content that is important to you.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that we do not do intentionally. But I want to say one thing that probably isn't said very often when talking about a newsletter, and that is the importance of the reader. When you subscribe to, say, Lisa's newsletter or my newsletter, you will get those usually on a frequent basis. Some people do it once a week, some people do it once a month. But when you get those, even if you do not have time to read that newsletter, I should say, if you would take the time to open that newsletter, you are helping the author, and this is why. There is an algorithm out there, and those bots, they watch to see how many people open. And if I send to 100 people and 99 people open, then the next time when I add 99 more people, the bots are more likely to ensure that all of those emails get into the readers' mailboxes, email boxes. But
Mhm.
if only 20 of my 100 open that email, the bots are saying, sounds fishy. And they
Mhm.
stop sending those emails to everybody. And so what they do is they end up in your promos folder or your spam folder. And it is hurtful to an author if you don't open them. So there are two things that you can do. One, every time you get an author newsletter, open it, even if you don't have time to read it. Or
Yes.
two, do the author the courtesy. If you know you're not going to open their newsletters, go ahead and unsubscribe.
And a lot of readers may not know that we do pay for every subscriber that's on our newsletters. There's like a
Yes,
limit that our carriers will give us. And
yes,
so it can be very costly. If you know you're not going to buy that author's books, it probably is good to unsubscribe. But it can also hurt them if everybody unsubscribes at one time. Because
yes, yes,
if you have like say you're in a promotion and you get like 1,000 new subscribers and 300 or 400 of them open your first couple of email packets and decide they're just going to jump ship. Now
yes,
the email carrier will flag you,
yes,
and you may lose your ability to send newsletters because you had
yes,
300 sign off all at one time, which isn't
right,
that bad. It may not be that bad out of 1,000 new readers who, aren't sure if they're going to have time to open all of those newsletters, right?
right.
So
But that is on the side of the
yeah,
author. The author needs to make sure that they are in putting themselves in promos that are comparable to what they write so that the majority of
right.
people really do want to stay.
And that's why it's so important not to sign up for an author's newsletter or a promo unless you're really serious about the type of genre that they write. Just if you're just entering the promo to get the freebie, it really doesn't help the author. So, I encourage readers to be a little cautious about, which freebies and promos you enter, and uh, to be there not just for the freebie, but to, look at it maybe a little bit from the author's perspective too, because they put a lot of time and money into the newsletter, and they put a lot of
Yes,
time and money into the promo, and whatever they're
yes.
giving away, the authors are splitting that cost too. So,
Yeah, let's talk
marketing.
about that for a minute. Why do we do it? Why do we give our book away for free? Why do we enter these promos? So, as an indie author, I'm the best way that I can sell my book is through my newsletter because now you know me and you may want to buy the book because you support me and my ministry. If you are trying to become traditionally published, you need a certain level of platform. You need to have so many subscribers before a traditional publisher will even look at you.
That's true. They look at how many followers you have and how how your engagement is, and your not just your writing style, but how many subscribers you have and all of those things, and that all plays a part of it. And also I wanted to mention, um when we were talking about promos, and you mentioned that that we might be in with other authors, and we mentioned them in our
Mhm.
newsletters, and then a rogue book might sneak in. I wanted to go back to that and define what Heidi meant by a rogue book. So if we're in a promo with other Christian and clean authors, but maybe an author joins us that doesn't write clean material, and we don't catch it or we didn't know about it, and that this is more on the organizer of the promo than it
Yes.
is on the authors in the promo, but because the organizer will have some degree of control over that. But sometimes a book will sneak in that nobody knew. It might have some violent content, or so that can be hard when you're trying to offer readers a really great promo, and then something like that snuck in.
Yeah. Stuck up to me the most was I think the author truly did not understand what Christian meant. Their book was spiritual. It was
Mhm.
not Christian.
Right.
And yet they entered as a Christian author, and there's a big difference.
That can happen, and it always amazes me that, um, some promo may allow things like, um, witchcraft, for instance,
Yes.
to be in a book, and
Yeah.
that's not really
That
Christian
is not
content. It
right.
There can be, um, like, speculative fiction might have stuff like that in it, but in general, it's not the kind of content you wanna keep putting in front of your readers all the time, and
Yes.
so I have to be really careful to I'm sure you feel this way too, and we have to be careful what kind of promos we're joining and constantly looking
Yeah.
at the other books that have you backed out of promos before because of that? I know I have because they've had like
I
no
have.
shirts on the
I have.
covers
And I
of things like that.
Yeah, and I had one I couldn't get out of. Um, and I had made a commitment, and I am a woman of my word, and so I made a commitment to share it, but I put it at the very bottom, and right after it, I put a reminder on there that make sure
And a
you
big
read the
warning
back
for
cover.
our readers, yeah, that can make extra challenging, right? Because we just don't have time to read all the books that are in these
Right,
promos. So there might be
right,
30, 60 books in a promo. Definitely something we have to look out for.
right.
But I also wanted to talk about how hard do you find it to approach authors that you don't know, to maybe share your book with their audience?
Lisa, there is a verse in Matthew, I believe it's chapter 12, maybe verse 7 or 7:12, that says, "Do unto others."
There you go.
There is something very important about when you love on someone else, they are more than willing to then respond back to you. You don't do it for that reason. You do it because you're genuinely wanting to support them.
Right.
For years, I supported the author Danny Roan. I read every one of her books. I reviewed every one of her books, put up Facebook posts about her books. And so when I had my first book, she was more than happy to help me. She is an established author. She's been writing for I, as long as you have, I know. And she has a really lovely fan base that is very strongly Christian oriented. And I knew that she was someone that I wanted to align myself with. But there were other very strong, heavy hitting authors traditionally published that had sold thousands of books. Their reviews were, 4.8 stars, and they had 2,000 of them. Those ladies, I knew I wanted to reach out to them. And so the best way that I could do that was I read their books, I reviewed their books, I signed up for their newsletters, I read their newsletters, I responded to their newsletters, and now they knew who I am. We have made
Nice.
a connection, personal connection through a Facebook post, through a newsletter, through their comment page, their contact form on their website. We have made a connection. And now they are starting to see my content that I have something, a book that is coming out. And when I ask them if they would consider reading the book and giving it a promoting the book, or at least giving it a review. Sometimes I've asked them to give it an editorial review. Uh, then they are more willing. A good example is I reached out to a very heavy hitter author. She is a seven-figure author. I had done this process. I had let her know that I had met her mother at a retreat, a women's retreat with my church. We made a little connection there. We made a connection because we live generally in the same area. When she was at a conference, I made sure to go up to her and introduce myself and shake her hand. And when it came time to ask her if she would be willing to review, she was all in. She was
I
absolutely all
love
in.
that.
Now, that didn't happen because I asked. It happened because I created a relationship. I met her at a conference. I listened to her podcast. I followed her on her social media. I didn't stalk her. I
Right,
became a friend, and I
right.
learned what mattered to her, and therefore now that has always been a wonderful relationship. Now another author, I reached out to her cold. I had read her books, and so when I couldn't figure out how to reach her. So she had a contact form on her website. So I emailed her and I said, I'm an avid reader of your books. I have reviewed these specific books and I loved them. Your writing style is very similar to mine. We write in the same time frame and genre. And I wondered if you would consider reviewing my book. I didn't hear back from her for a while, but then I got a reply. And the reply was, I am so thankful that you took the time to read and review my books. As a traditionally published author, I am under a tremendous deadline and I do not have time to read your book, so I'm very sorry. But I want you to know that I have read about you and I do believe that you are true. I believe that you are someone that I can promote as a person. I see that your reviews are doing very well and that your content is good. Therefore, I am willing to promote you on a Facebook post when you have your next new release. That was
Nice.
fabulous. She didn't
Yes.
take the time to review my book, but she didn't blow me off either.
I
She
love
did
that.
something tremendous. She put my book, she had me send her, I had to create the ad. She's like, I'm so sorry, I don't have time. I sent her an image. I sent her what was she could put up on Facebook, and then
Mhm.
she added her own verbiage.
Nice.
And it was something to the effect of, there are some new up and coming authors that you really don't want to miss because of their Christian content. This is one of them. And uh, honestly, what a gift. And so it
Yeah,
isn't about necessarily getting the review or
right,
being able to say you have an editorial review, one that you can post forever and always.
right. I really love that because maybe this will help, some other writers that are out there as well as readers who don't know what we run into with regard to marketing and so forth. But creating those connections is so much better than just kind of, oh, I don't know what to do. We can either sink into despair or we can get out there and take a positive others. Yeah, do it's so important to share, I think, other writers and encourage each other. And I think
Yes,
it's kind of like the in God's kingdom where when we plant a seed and we do something for someone else, God sees that. Even, every time you are hitting a like on another author's post, that
sharing.
they're putting out Christian content or sharing another author's book, I think God sees that. And do you agree that he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him and do the things that, he wants us to do in the
Yeah,
kingdom of being kind to others?
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, speaking directly to the reader, if that, what I just was talking about, if that didn't apply to you, here's something that would definitely apply. So I have one reader, and she signed up for my email. I think I met her through a Facebook party, and she has stayed in contact. Well, we recently here in South Carolina had an ACFW book event, and we had authors from ACFW area come, and we all were met in this one room, and it was fabulous. And she showed up. It was quite a distance for her to drive. When she got there, she made sure to introduce herself to me, to let me know who she was, and that she was the coordinator of the book clubs, plural, for her church. And she sure would love to have me come and speak to them. She had done all those things for me. And so when I reached back out to her and said, give me a little more detail, She gave me a date and she showed me how far it was. I am willing. Now, I don't drive, Lisa. Everything, because of my vision loss, I don't drive. So I have to coordinate rides everywhere that I go. And so what this means for me is I'm making an extra effort to not just meet this book club in Zoom. I'm going to travel there because she made such an effort to support me. I want to do the same for her. So it
Yeah,
goes both ways.
it does. And reciprocation. I love when certain authors begin to reciprocate with me, and I always watch for that. I don't take that for granted. I
Yeah.
try to go to, if they're spending their time reciprocating on my social media, I try to return that. I'm sure, each one of us do. So, um, let's talk about what readers can do to help us. But I want to mention two things before we wrap this up. One of the aspects that for me I find is so hard is I want to be writing, yet I know I've got to be doing this marketing. Do you find that just disturbing as well when, there's some part of our day has to be set aside for marketing and some for reading or some part of our week? How do you handle that, Heidi? Do you have any tips?
So I'm an interesting bird, and I know that you write a little differently as well, in that I don't have creativity first thing in the morning. So I'm not one of those early risers who just let the words flow.
Yeah, and such a night owl, guys.
Yeah, my
Okay.
my creativity it's about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So I use the morning time to do those mundane things. I
Yes,
try to stay off Facebook as much as possible. I find that it is a rabbit hole for me.
yes,
Um, so like you said, sharing other authors' posts, a lot of times I miss doing that because I'm not on Facebook to do it. So I hired my daughter who needed a little extra income, and she is fabulous with creating all of these images, and I send her some content, she creates things, and then she puts those posts up for me every single
nice.
day. That saves me a tremendous amount of time. So that is a little bit of money that I am putting out, but I'm doing it and I'm supporting my child. And so for
So
me,
nice.
that's a win-win right there. So um, eh, there are times when I feel like I have not written a word in days because
Mhm.
I've been so busy editing the last book. Right now, I am in the middle of editing a book and I am in the middle of editing an audiobook. So, book
Mhm.
3 in my Discerning God's Best series, Matters of the Heart, comes out in audiobook soon, and I had hoped for it to be out in March. Here it is, April, and
Mhm.
it's soon to be May. And
Yeah.
I have not put this out yet because I am listening to the book while looking at my words to make sure that the audiobook reader, the narrator, is getting the inflection right. Very rarely does she mess up a word, but sometimes she doesn't get the inflection quite right, and it changes the
Mhm.
meaning of what my intention was
Right.
for a sentence or a person's um, voice.
Mhm.
And so that's what I'm doing right now. So I likely spend 50% of my time in that marketing. So what that entails are those Facebook posts. I do have to go in and respond to people, otherwise nothing happens with them.
Right. Right.
I write blog posts. That is part of marketing. That is another way that I reach people. Someone may find me on a blog post that they haven't found me anywhere else. In fact,
Mhm.
I have one on the Reconstruction era recipes, and I posted that well over a year ago, and it
Nice.
still gets hits today. So obviously, whatever keywords I use, the
Mhm.
algorithm is helping people find that, and then those people find me as an author. So that's part of marketing.
Yes.
I also connect with other authors. You are one of those authors. We can commiserate with each other, and we all understand, and then we just
I
so as part of marketing because I share your books in my newsletter. You share the
Mhm.
BookBub ad, the Google ad,
The Facebook,
and the Facebook
Instagram
ad.
ad. Yeah. The Meta ads.
And
It's so much to
it's all
juggle, and
consuming.
then the budget runs out. There's only so much that you can
There's
do.
only so much.
It's very costly. Advertising can be very costly, but there's constantly these classes we are trying to take so that
Yes.
we can learn how to do advertising smarter. And
Yes. And you just hit on something else. It's not just marketing. So it's not that I don't just read, write, edit, market. I also learn. I
right,
am reading craft books. I am
right,
attending conferences. I go to my ACFW meeting once a month. I'm part of the Writers Guild in my local community that meets once a month.
yeah,
I take the time to um, watch those videos on YouTube from David
mm-hmm,
Goffrin,
mm-hmm,
Kindlepreneur. I read
mm-hmm,
all of Steve Lobby's agency's newsletters because it is a learning experience for me, and I
yeah,
have to continue to grow in my authorship or I will become stagnant.
right,
Sometimes authors are struggling. This is not a money-making business. This is a
right,
ministry, and it takes multiple hands and
yeah,
volunteers to make it work. And
and
if
a
you do
lot of
not reach
prayer,
out and grow that community, you almost cannot survive.
right. And this year I went into it, and the one thing that I knew the Lord was telling me to do was to spread my branches
Yeah.
to do, so I had to make some really tough business decisions this year because um I I've been putting out some audiobooks, but I can't do all human narrators because they're so expensive.
Yes.
And so I had to do some through AI,
Yes.
because, well, first of all, I have 70 books, and
Right.
your average audiobook might be like $1,500 or more to
Right.
pay a human narrator to do it. And with that many books, I'm sorry, I don't
Takes a
have a
long
hundred
time to
thousand dollars
recoup.
sitting around to make all of those books. So the decision is, do you make them not available in audio to appease the anti AI crowd, or do you go ahead and get them out there so people that can't read them, maybe they're blind and they want to,
Yes.
and I know this will touch your heart, Heidi, maybe they
Yes.
want to be able to hear the book. So I made that decision to put um like 80%, or it might be even 90% of my collection in the Kindle AI
Yes.
availability. And okay, some readers might hate on me for that, but I don't have $100,000
I know. I know.
to make those, and I could apply for grants all day, but there's also a time factor in that because for each audiobook that you do, there's all these steps that you have to take to get them the manuscript and have a cover made, and that costs more money, and all these other things, that you have to do. And then there's checkpoints where you got to stop and listen. Well, if you're on deadlines,
Yeah.
there's no way that I could get, so I've, gotten them out there on audio, but that was a tough business decision for me because I don't want to alienate the reader community.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's
Right.
gone, whether
Yes.
people realize it or
Absolutely.
not.
Now,
It's
there's
not
there's a
going
lot of
away.
negative. Yeah, that's a topic all its own. I chose human narration because that's the only kind of book I personally like to listen to.
Right.
So, because I want to listen only to well done audiobooks, that I am doing exactly what you said, and it's costing me a fortune, which means I can only put out about one a year.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because it costs that much, and readers do not seem to understand that. But there's
Right.
another part to this, why I chose to do audiobook and why I chose to put them on YouTube for free.
Right.
You can find all of the books that I have so far on YouTube for free, or you can go on any of the other platforms, the Amazon and the Kobo and all the different places, Chirp, wherever you go. They are there. They're at the library system, Hoopla. But I put them on YouTube because I can reach a totally different reader group, listener group than I can for people who pay for those audiobook services. And I know this to be true because of the comments. I am from South Africa. I am a truck driver. I love listening to your work while I am driving. I am from
Oh,
New Zealand.
nice.
And I am a mom, and I love that I can play your books with my kids in the background and not worry about the content. I am from Fiji. I have, when you look at the map of all the places that I am reaching this audiobook, my mission field is larger than it was with my local ESL, English as a Second Language program that I founded and directed here in my hometown. And it is larger than that. I had 36 countries represented with 120 students that showed up every week. And I thought when that closed, my mission field died. And God has used those audiobooks to reach a new mission field that I could have never reached, Lisa,
Right.
without doing it that way. Giving it
That's
away for free, I do still make money because of those the ads that come up, those pesky ads, but it is how I get paid.
and that's what it's about is, making these things accessible, and sometimes you have to make a
Yeah,
decision to give instead of to, when I sent one of my books perma-free, and
yes,
so I don't make a dime on that book, but it does help get the gospel out there and also let
yeah,
readers just have a taste of my work. So sometimes, there's a little bit of a trade-off there. And I was wondering also what in our last few minutes here, what are just we only have time to mention a couple things, but what do you think, Heidi, are some things readers can do to help us with our marketing? I'm just going to start us off with one thing. I
yes.
would say it really helps us when you share our books on social media or like our posts and things like that and comment and stuff like that. What would you add to that?
And I'm going to expound on that a little bit. We don't understand AI well enough, but those bots, I often say they're hungry, and if they don't get their Snickers bar, they're hangry, and they're mean. They're just downright mean.
Yeah.
And when you feed that algorithm by liking, commenting, sharing, you really do help an author. It's exponential. So,
Mhm.
and you don't even have to say anything.
Right.
And it really does make a difference.
It
But there
does.
are
It's
several
huge.
things that readers can do that will make a difference in helping an author beyond social media. Though a review. So I want to delve into this just a little bit, Lisa, because I think most readers, if they're like me, don't enjoy doing this. It's not fun. I want to match the writer's quality of writing, and I can't do that. Leaving a review, it does not have to be long and verbose, and please don't use AI to write it. The bots know you've done that. Just say, "This book fed my soul." If that's all you can put out, that's
Right.
worth it.
And thank you, everybody, so much. And I agree with everything that we've talked about here today. And it has been just a joy having you. But hopefully, this has given some encouragement to writers as well as some interesting behind the scenes talk for our readers. And thank you for praying for us and
Yes.
encouraging us with your engagement on both social media and with our newsletters and doing leaving reviews for us and calling our your local library and asking them to carry our books and being patient with us when we have to make tough business decisions. But I assure you, I'm writing all my books. There is no
Yes.
AI writing my books. So
That is correct.
yeah, I just want you all to know that it's been wonderful to share this series with you about why it's hard to be a writer. We hope you've enjoyed it, and just go sign up for our newsletters. And do you have anything to add to that, Heidi,
I don't.
before we
Lisa,
say
thank
goodbye?
you once again. We've had a fabulous time, and I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you, guys. We'll see you the next time we can get a new episode out to you, and I hope you have a great day.